probably more people will join along the way. All right, thanks everyone for joining. Let me do like a quick introduction of myself, and then we'll do the introductions of my co-hosts. My name is Eli. I'm the community lead at Now Payments. And I have here with me Marius from Coinsbee and Forrest from NANO. Hi guys, how are you doing?
Doing good. Glad to be here.
Also doing good. Hi, guys.
Perfect. Great to have you here. All right, before we begin, let me just set some basic rules on how this Twitter space is going to go real quick. Basically, we'll have two sections. The first one is we'll do introductions and a general discussion on the state of crypto payments now, and more specifically, a real use case for nano payments at Coinsbee. And the second one, we're going to have some live Q&A from the audience. If that's all right with you, could each one of you please introduce yourself and like tell a bit about yourself, your background, and what is it you do at Nano and Coinsbee, respectively? You can guys decide who starts.
Sure, I can go first if it's okay, Forrest.
Yeah, go ahead.
My name. Okay, I go. My name is Marius. I'm the one of the co-founders of Coinsbee.com, and I'm responsible for the business development of Coinsbee. With our service, we offer more than 4,000 different gift card brands, and we use Now Payments as a solution for the payment with the Nano coin, and we are happy to be here in the call.
Thank you.
All right. I'm very happy to be here. My name is Forrest. I'm the social media lead for the Nano Foundation. And at the Nano Foundation, we are making digital money for the modern world as efficiently as possible. And our idea is to basically have purely money transactions as efficiently as possible on a decentralized network. So I'm very glad to be here and to talk a little bit with you guys about accepting of cryptocurrency and nano, and yeah, also answer questions from anyone that is listening. So thank you for having me.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, I've got some prepared questions and like topic that we could discuss, like to start the discussion with before we do the live questions from the audience. All right, I basically have the same question for either one of you, but let's start with Marius. Could you tell us a bit more about Coinsbee as a whole and like what differentiates it from its competition, and how are you guys working in general, like on promoting mass adoption and attracting more users to purchase with cryptocurrency, and in this case more specifically with Nano, but in general?
Yeah, sure. I think we are our company is specialized to sell gift cards only for crypto, and we have a tight connection to some different crypto coins and also with Nano. And there we also support the community, and the solution of us, I think it's really attractive for smaller coins and even for large coins, because the bridge to use Nano for the real life payment, we built this bridge because with our gift cards you can use it easily to top up your mobile phones, or buy your next book on Amazon, or order your next food at DoorDash, for example.
Got it. Thank you. And Forrest, yeah, basically same question to you. Like, what differentiates Nano from other cryptocurrencies, especially when we're talking about it as a means of payment?
Yeah, so Nano is really made for payments. It basically really has two main functions, which is for payments and as a store of value. And for payments, what really sets Nano apart is it's free to send anywhere in the world, and it settles in less than a second. And I think that's really what you want when you use something for payments, right? You don't want to be waiting 10 minutes to be included in a block, and then another 30 minutes for enough confirmations to make sure that your payment is fully done. So yeah, with Nano, a transaction is settled in less than a second for free, and I think that is just perfect for payments, and that's really what sets Nano apart. And there's different reasons why Nano is uh, free to send and settle so fast and can scale. It really boils down to technology and using a block lattice instead of a blockchain. um, but yeah, so what really sets Nano apart is just being free and fast from a payment standpoint.
Could you elaborate like a bit more on how is it achieved? I mean, like the free transactions, because yeah, that is an unusual thing to have in the crypto space.
Sure. Yeah. So when you use, for instance, Bitcoin, right? It has blocks that are not that big. It can only fit so many transactions, and a block is only made every 10 minutes or so. So you have to wait for your payment to be included in the block, and you have to pay a fee for miners to include it. Now, Nano doesn't have any mining. It's as efficient as possible, and because Nano is so efficient, it doesn't have mining, and it running a node is very cheap. Most businesses that run nodes do it not to earn some money because there's nothing to earn directly from running a nano node, but there's external incentives to run a nano node. For instance, to use the network in a trustless way. And because those costs are really low, but businesses save on transaction fees basically, um, that makes Nano, yeah, easy to use and cheap to use, basically free to use, because you don't have to pay miners. There's no one that is using a lot of energy or hardware to run the network. So it really comes down to Nano's efficiency is why it's so cheap and free to use. That's and cheap to run a node. So yeah, it really comes from its efficiency. There's barely any energy usage in that sense if you compare it to Bitcoin. We have some graphs that we sometimes show where Bitcoin transaction uses the same amount of energy as 17 million nano transactions. That says something about the efficiency. And even more than that, you could basically run the entire network from the energy provided by one wind turbine. So, because it's that cheap to run the whole network, it's free to send and receive transactions with Nano. And on top of that, there's also no inflation or anything. So, you're also not paying to hold Nano. And when you have something like Bitcoin, you have inflation that also pays part of the cost for miners. And that inflation, not having inflation means basically you're also not paying through inflation to just hold Nano. So it's free to hold it, it's free to use it. All you need is a phone and an internet connection, and you can start using it without any barrier of entry, like any cost for transactions or minimum wallet balance, which some other currencies have as well. So yeah, I hope that answers the question a bit.
It is, yeah, in depth. Thank you. That sounds great, actually. Marius, from Coinsbee side, how was the process of setting up payments with Nano through Now Payments, and how popular is Nano as a payment method on Coinsbee? Because I know that you haven't had Nano payments before, but then you were able to set them up through us. So I'm just wondering on how it went.
Yeah, exactly. Also we ramped, also we had nano payments before and with another payment provider, but we had a lot of problems. And then we used you guys, and the implementation of your payment process was really smooth. And that enabled us to accept Nano again. And sure if we compare the Nano payments with our Bitcoin payments, there's a huge difference. But from the minor coins, I think it's one of the 10 most used coins on our page. Also, if you don't look on the stable coins and Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Got it. Let's go. And Forrest, what's your perspective on mass adoption for payments with Nano, and what can we expect from Nano in 2023? Like, are there plans to expand, etc.?
Yeah, so I really think when it comes to adoption, first of all, it needs to be a better option to use cryptocurrency than to use traditional payments, right? If you use fiat currency, and for instance, I live in the Netherlands, and here, if I make a payment with my card, it's really easy. The costs are very low. It's easy to do, but in a lot of countries, that's not the case. In a lot of countries, there's really a barrier of entry to start using money digitally, right? And there's about 1.4 billion people in the world that do not have access to banking infrastructure. That's actually quite a lot of people if you think about it. They just don't live in the Netherlands, for instance. I mean, probably also some, but there's a lot of places in the world where there's many people that are unbanked. And having an option that only requires a phone and an internet connection for them to start using money digitally, I think that is really what is gonna create that adoption in places in the world where it's most needed. But on top of that, for let's say online payments, for instance, we make it easy to make a payment. With Nano, it's super easy to get started and to make the payment. But then with now payments, it's really easy to accept cryptocurrency and Nano. And I think making it as easy as possible for merchants to start accepting it is also another step to making it more accessible and to kind of boost adoption. And then besides that, if you have Coinsbee, that is another great example on sort of a bridge for adoption of Nano. I use it myself as well, and I think it works really great. I cannot spend my Nano at, for instance, Uber Eats yet, but I can use Coinsbee to buy a gift card, and then I can spend it at Uber Eats. And I think, it's making those steps, incremental steps for accessibility and for easier usage, that's going to drive adoption over time. And I think it's still going to take some time before we see mass adoption around the world. But as long as we keep making progress, I think we'll get there. As long as it's a better option and it's easy to use. And I think Nano is that. And I think using now payments for businesses to easily accept it is also going to drive that adoption.
When do you think you will be able to order Uber Eats natively with Nano?
That's a difficult question. I am not in contact with the CEO of Uber myself, so I can't ask him. But no, I think with those large businesses, it's going to take some time. But I think once adoption starts going, once we get that ball rolling a bit faster, I think it's just going to be exponential. And the most important thing is also for the Nano network to be able to handle that, right? If a company like Uber Eats accepts it, I think that's going to drive a lot of traffic on the Nano network. So we need to make sure that the Nano network can also handle and scale that big. And yeah, that also requires time. That requires businesses accepting it. Nano can scale with better hardware and better bandwidth. It's not limited to a certain amount of transactions per second through code. So it's really the hardware that runs it and the bandwidth of the network that will determine how scalable it gets, and the decentralization on top of that as well. So yeah, it will probably take some time before Uber Eats accepts it, but let's hope soon.
That's true. Yeah, let's hope soon. All right, I'd like to pass the word to either one of you to see whether you have some extra questions, either to each other or to Now Payments.
Do you have any question, Marius?
At the moment, not.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I actually have sort of a question for now payments. Is there, do you know how many businesses there are that use now payments to accept Nano? And is that a number that you can share? Or is that not really something that you're able to share like that?
I think I can share like the number of merchants that we have like in total. I cannot like disclose the industries and the specific businesses. But yeah, I think it's like thousands, thousands of various merchants in various industries that use now payments to accept cryptocurrency uh, on on their business for their business. That includes offline stores like brick and mortar places where they can set up payments with the uh, POS system that you just install on your phone and like a scan QR code and pay, as well as many online places. But yeah, it's thousands.
That's amazing, actually. I also noticed this when I look on our hub, because we have this Nano hub that shows all the merchants that accept Nano, or at least all the merchants that we know about that accept Nano. And a lot of them actually use now payments because I think it's just one of the easiest methods to accept Nano. But on top of that, also the ability to have it automatically converted to fiat currency. And when it comes to that, when it comes to converting the crypto directly to fiat, which currencies are now actually um, accepted, or like which currencies can people swap into using now payments at the moment?
Well, first of all, that is awesome to see that there are merchants in Nano Hub that you use now payments as a provider. Um, Second of all, basically, we use like a third-party provider for the if we talk about the fiat to crypto and crypto to fiat conversions. Um, I believe that most of the like there are US dollars, euros, like most of the fiat currencies that are like the top five or top 10, whatever, they are available as far as I know. And what goes for crypto to crypto exchanges, I mean, you could get payments in Nano or in Bitcoin, whatever, like basically in any currency, and then withdraw it. Like being a merchant, you can withdraw it, let's say in Nano, and like the commission for that is also like really low. I think it's a 1%. So yeah, and you can withdraw it like in any cryptocurrency there is.
That's really nice. I think, being able to swap it into a different currency or cryptocurrency is also really useful because there's so many merchants that don't want to accept cryptocurrency because they are afraid of the volatility. Um, and I think, with Nano being really fast, that already helps a little bit if you can then afterwards convert it easily to a different currency that is more stable and not as volatile, like for instance the dollar or the euro. So I think that's really really an important part of the whole process of accepting cryptocurrency.
Yeah, or you can do it like vice versa. You can accept it if you're so worried about volatility. You can accept it in stable coins and then withdraw it in Nano. Or as you said, accept it with Nano and withdraw it like to USDT or USDC, whatever. Either one of them goes. Yeah, yeah, that's true. I agree with that. Matos, do you have anything to add here?
No, but you mentioned the right points. Also, that's special for us in the gift card business. We are operating with small margins, and so it's important to have a solution to change the coins in a stable coin or in dollars or euros. really fast that we don't have a negative margin on our sales.
Cool. Is there, before we do the live session, is there anything you guys wanted to discuss? Is there anything else?
Forrest, do you have, or can you also share some numbers? How many active users you have who are using Nano for merchant payments?
So it's really difficult to say exact numbers, because with a lot of merchants, and this can be a little bit difficult for us, is that we don't always know if merchants accept Nano, and they kind of have to tell us for us to know, right? Like, for instance, we don't get any notification automatically if a merchant starts accepting Nano, so we really need to sort of find it. But yeah, all the merchants that we know about, you can find on our hub at hub.nano.org/merchants. And on that website, you can also find all the other things in the Nano ecosystem. So faucets to get a little bit of Nano, and wallets to store your Nano and make transactions, all that kind of stuff. So it's really a place where the whole Nano ecosystem is kind of, yeah, in one place. And I think it's really interesting to look at all those merchants. And sometimes I look through it. If I need something myself, I will look through it and see if there's a merchant that accepts Nano. Yeah, if I can't find it, then I look for gift cards, for instance, on Coinsbee to see if I can spend it that way.
Best.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. It's a pleasure to be listed there. But you know how much end customers or nano users are using the nano coin for shopping with nano, or are the most users who send nanos to each others do that for direct payment between each others, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, we don't really have any way to really see what the payments are used for. So you can just see that it goes from one address to the other, and we don't really know
Okay.
which address belongs to a merchant or to a person or to an exchange, kind of like that. Um, what I have noticed is that during times where the price goes up, we start to see way more merchants accepting Nano, people using it a lot more for actual payments. And then during a bear market, I think people are still using it for payments as well, but it's also a lot of people that are just kind of, I guess, stacking up on Nano and sort of investing in it, I guess. But yeah, we really don't see Nano that way, like not as an investment for people to make money off. The goal of Nano is really to be used as a currency, to spend it. And it's also a difference that I see with a lot of other cryptocurrency projects in the space, is that a lot of them are about making money, staking, investing, stuff like that. And we always say, no, you have to spend Nano. That is what it's for. It's utility. So yeah, that's really something that we try to encourage for people to use their Nano. But we cannot see how much it is used for payments at merchants, and how many merchants accept it exactly. So yeah, that's difficult to say.
Okay, got it.
That is great. That it's like the whole premise of Nano is being the utility and the payment method. I think that's a first in cryptocurrency.
Yeah, and I think this is also something. The way we kind of look at it is, you have uh, the whole space that started with Bitcoin, right? And the whole idea of Bitcoin is both as a store of value and for transacting, but it doesn't really succeed very well in either of those. For making payments, it's not ideal, and also as a store of value, it has certain flaws and it has inflation. And yeah, Nano really tries to go back to that original premise of why cryptocurrency was created, because there's so many other projects now that do smart contracts and they do NFTs and all this type of stuff, and they don't even have the payment part on a decentralized network fully worked out in a sustainable way. And so we really kind of go back to that original goal of a method of exchange and a store of value that works well, sustainably, in the long term on a decentralized network that is ever decentralizing, and do it as efficiently as possible. So yeah, that's really kind of our goal, to be that digital money that is accessible for everyone.
Well, Bitcoin is a daddy and all, but it's old. No one was thinking about it back then, like to be a payment method that thousands would use it, like to have a bandwidth of thousands of transactions per second. Yeah. All right. If you're all ready, let's do a 5 questions from our listeners. If you got any questions, please raise your hand and request to be a speaker, and we'll do it in a first comes, first goes order. You use it to order food first.
Yeah, of course. I just want to say it's also great to see some familiar faces from the Nano community in here. It's really nice. I also see that Perceive is listening, which is one of the really cool use cases for Nano with microtransactions, which allows people to live stream and get paid in real time for every second that someone is watching. So the viewers pay for every second with a microtransaction in Nano to the streamer. I think that's really, yeah, one of those unique ways that Nano can be used for micropayments as well, um, in businesses and for use cases. So yeah, that's an interesting one, I think.
Perceive, would you like to join in and add something to our discussion?
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Hey guys. Hi everyone. This is Shrika. I'm from India and I'm a big fan of Nano since 2017. I'm really sorry I'm outside, so there is some noise. My question is for now payments. The question is, since a lot of merchants would like to accept, and there is a transaction fee, a service fee that now payments will implement, is there a clear indication that Nano doesn't have transaction fees and thus they save some money? I mean, is it highlighted properly so that I think that will be a boost for adoption. Somebody looking at accepting crypto and they see Nano being feeless, the whole transaction would be more lucrative for them. Is there something like that on now payments that is clear for the merchants? Is it communicated?
Thanks for your question. I would think so that it must be there. In my opinion, that's like that is a great highlight. I would have to check with the team whether or not it's highlighted. As for the fees that you mentioned, Now Payments does have a, not like the network fee, but its own fee, which is still the low. It's only 0.5%, which is the lowest on the market. For all other payment providers, they charge you more. So I would think that with Nano, the transactions would be like the cheapest ones possible. I would have to check with the team whether or not it's highlighted, but thanks for that input. I think it must be highlighted, yeah.
Thank you so much. I think if a small change in UI and it is shown, I think more people will be happy to accept Nano, and that will be really helpful for the ecosystem as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. All right, let's go to the next one. I see that we have Vini Bar. Yeah, you can ask a question now.
Thank you. I think I had some connection issues, so I had to disconnect before. But about the, I would like to add my own experience, if it's okay. If I understood correct, you asked for that, right? For people to share.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So right now I work as a freelance writer and copywriter, and I am receiving approximately 20% of my income in Nano and crypto in general, but people prefer to pay me in Nano due to some payment conditions. So yeah, it has been a pretty amazing experience so far, and I love to see services like now payments and Coinsbee as well, because this 20% payment I need to spend somehow, right? So today, the mainly use case I can get to spend my Nano is through gift cards. So it's an amazing use case to have, and it really, really helps people who wants to live with crypto. And now payments being a facilitator to merchants or businesses that uh, doesn't want to or doesn't know how or are not secure enough or not confident enough to receive direct payments in a peer-to-peer way. I think having an intermediary with such great fees like you have, I think your fees are very low, and this is true, right? So yeah, I really like those use cases, and I hope that I can use crypto directly more often, or through intermediaries like yourself whenever it's possible. So just wanted to add it here.
Thank you so much for your feedback. I'm just wondering, how do you receive that payment in Nano? Like, is it a direct transfer from those who have ordered some text from you, or is it like some freelance dashboard service?
No, I am signing up in freelance dashboards, but they pay me my local currency after getting a lot of fees for themselves and all the bureaucracy to convert from USD to Brazilian real. I am from Brazil, so if I need to spend my money, it's the fiat currency I use is real, the BRL. But the payments in crypto I receive directly. Yeah, so even if it is Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash or Nano, for instance, it's direct payment. I just give my address. We get an exchange rate that is we it is predefined, right? It's in the deal before we sign any contract. So we get this exchange rate, and they just send me the Nano. But I price my service in USD right now. The unit of account I use is USD to get the price, the final value in Nano in the end of the day.
Got it. Obrigado for your feedback.
De nada. Be welcome.
All right. I think we have Coach Crypto who wants to say something. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. My question is, what are you thinking about your project in 2023, and how to make your project bigger in the future, and how can we benefit from your project? That's my question.
Do you guys want to jump in on this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Also, what our plans for this year is that we grow our gift card portfolio. At the moment, I mentioned we have about 4,000 different brands, and our plan is to grow it around 50%. So especially in brands for smaller countries. And even we are working on a payment card, but that's not official. Also, I'm not 100% sure that it will be released this year.
Yeah, and from the Nano side, this year we are really working a lot on the development side of things. We're also looking to do releases more often. So V24, the latest release from the development side, was out recently in January, and we will have V25 coming soon. But besides that, also just we want to keep encouraging adoption of Nano and trying to get more merchants to start accepting Nano. And we have our focus markets in countries like Nigeria, India, Brazil is also going really well with the efforts of Vinny. And these are places where we really want to encourage people to start using Nano more. And that's not only from our side. We do this together with our community, also together with the merchants, to try and make the adoption grow basically in this year. um, so yeah, and then besides that as well, we have some bigger use cases that we are working on, and one that I really like is with Fincom and Crowdin, where we pay translators in Nano for each word that they translate. One of the things why we think translations are so important is because we want Nano to be accessible everywhere, and it is accessible almost everywhere basically, as long as you have a phone and internet connection. But people also need to be educated when it comes to using Nano and cryptocurrency in general, and they need to understand how it works. They need to understand everything about Nano basically that they want to know, and that information needs to be available for those people. And we think, especially the people, most people on the internet, uh, you think that everything goes in English and everyone, like most people, know English. That's actually not the case. Not everyone in the world speaks English. So we really want to have resources available in many different languages, and it's a use case like Fincom with Crowdin for helping with translations and paying translators, that makes Nano and resources about Nano more accessible. But on top of that, it's also a great way for people to earn Nano and to spread Nano around the world to places where it needs to go. So, yeah, we have a lot of things going in 2023, but it's really about working on development and increasing adoption. And we recently also published an article about our vision for 2023 on our blog. So if you want to read that, you can just go to nano.org/blog, and it will be on there.
Thank you. All right, I see another request from Flash. Let me put him on. Great profile pic, by the way. Hi, Flash. How are you doing?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, I have a question.
Go ahead.
All right, my question is, what makes you feel confident about the survival and sustainable success of your project in the near future, considering the current state of the market?
Is this for a question for me, for Nano?
Yeah, Nano.
All right. Well, first, it's really, Nano is a better option for a lot of people when it comes to international payments. Better, easier, cheaper than using banking, for instance. And what we really want to do is just keep that or make that option using Nano easier for people, and make it make like create more awareness for it, and in that way see the Nano adoption grow. Because in the end, it's really, if it's a better option to use, or if it's a cheaper option to use for businesses, for instance, then they will start using it. So yeah, we're not really too concerned about the state of the crypto market. We really try to sort of differentiate ourselves from the rest of the crypto market, and that is because the cryptocurrency market has kind of turned into this sort of speculative market, and Nano is not meant for speculation. It's meant uh, for spending and for using, and to save on costs, to save on fees when transacting internationally, for instance, to save on time, and also it creates new use cases. If you have, for instance, micropayments, you cannot really do micropayments very well with fiat currencies and banking. It's very difficult, and you're also always kind of boxed in because of the minimum amounts. But with Nano, you can send one raw, which is a very, very small amount of Nano, for free anywhere in the world in less than a second. So that's really, we think, amazing, and really something that will drive adoption and use cases over time.
Thank you for your answer. All right, let's go to the next one from Rich. Hi, Rich. How are you doing? You can.
Hello, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. My question is, what do you consider as your biggest obstacle in a long time success, and how are you trying to overcome it?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, thank
There are
you.
a lot of sorry. Uh, there are a lot of
Yeah, go ahead.
there are a lot of obstacles when it comes to cryptocurrency and adoption of cryptocurrency, and for a large part, it's really about awareness and really trying to make people see the potential of Nano and how to use Nano. And I think one of the very difficult things when it comes to cryptocurrency is just the fluctuations in price, the volatility, and that makes people see it as a risky thing to hold it or accept it, which it doesn't have to be. Especially if you also have the option, for instance, with now payments to immediately convert it into a stable currency. Um, but also we see that those fluctuations, the volatility, go down over time as adoption grows. And of course, this takes time, and it needs people to be aware of Nano, and Nano needs to have a lot of use cases and that utility for it to grow bigger and become more stable. But we are just continuing to encourage people to use it. We are helping businesses with use cases uh, where they use Nano, and we are keeping the awareness up. We want to keep spreading that awareness, and I think one of the biggest things for this is our community. Nano has such a strong, big, and passionate community, and a lot of very talented people in the community that are also using it themselves, but also building on it. And I think that that is one of the core things that really makes Nano grow over time. So yeah, the obstacle is really awareness and adoption, and we're just gonna keep pushing for that to grow. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Thank you. Can I ask my second question, please?
Sure, go ahead.
What is your number one priority in the next 6 months?
All right, the number one priority, I think, is the Nano Foundation. It's really about development for a large part. Making Nano work even better and more efficient. And we are working right now on a better bootstrapping system so that it's going to be easier for people to start spinning up nodes. And that will also help with adoption, but also with the centralization of the network. Um, but yeah, so in the near future, a lot of it is on development, and then also just keep building those use cases and keep supporting those that are building with Nano. Yeah.
I finally got a lot of requests. All right, let's move on to the next one. Hi. Yeah, how are you doing?
Hi, Now Payment. Sorry, my whenever I come on stage, there's always like a weird delay, and like all the microphones are loading up for me. But apologize about that. Hope you guys are doing well. Happy Tuesday. What's up, Nano, Coinsbee? Nice to see you guys.
Hey, nice to have you here.
Of course, of course. I've been hearing about Nano for a long time, and Now Payments and I have known each other for a while. And I heard of Coinsbee, but I realized I didn't follow them back until literally just now. I love to see stuff like that, cool ways to onboard and spend your crypto. So props to you guys.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Do you use Nano yourself? Have you used it, if I can ask?
I've used Nano a few times before, like, someone sent it to me and like I was playing around with it. But yeah, I've had a little bit of experience with Nano.
It's awesome that you can play around with Nano, right? Because it doesn't cost anything. If you want to play around with Bitcoin, it costs you a few hours and a few dollars just to make a few transactions. So I think that's really one of the cool things about Nano. I hear it sometimes from people where they just set up two desktops or two phones and then just send it back and forth to themselves basically, and that one Nano stays one Nano, and also that one Nano can be back and forth 10 times in a minute. So yeah, it's fun to play around with, I think.
Absolutely. When, I was just talking about this with Now Payments and Digibyte when they had their space. When I think about, money and Gen Z, we want something that's instant. We want something fast where we could just go to the coffee shop, buy a coffee and leave and not have to worry about like, Bitcoin, right? You spend $5 at the coffee shop, you're going to have to wait a little while for it to confirm. It's not really that instant. But with something like Digibyte, Nano, Litecoin, you just spend right there and you're able to leave and, enjoy your day and be able to again have those fast transactions and not have to wait. So yeah, I think it's really cool.
By the way, speaking of the coffee, have you had that experience? Have you been able to buy coffee with a crypto anywhere?
So I've been working on like onboarding those coffee shops in my neighborhood, but I know I've spent Litecoin a few times before. I haven't spent Nano at like a store yet, but I am waiting for that. And I think like, peer-to-peer payments and, all of these like crypto payment terminals are going to pop off this year. I have like a really good feeling about it. Considering like, the downfall, and not exactly the downfall, but like the diminishment of like the traditional financial system, and a lot of people are looking into crypto and something that they could spend and that they own and that they're in control of. So I definitely think that a lot more people are going to be transacting with crypto very soon. I'm waiting for it. That's what we're here for: cryptocurrency, using it as currency. And I know a lot of speculation has gotten in the way of that, but yeah, I'm truly with the fundamentals of peer-to-peer payments.
Let's call it for what it is. Downfall is the way to describe it here. All right, thank you so much for your input. All right, guys, shall we move on? We got, I think, a few more requests pending. Hi, Relax. How are you doing? You can speak now.
Can I ask my question?
Go ahead.
Yeah. My question is, what is your main focus at the moment? Can you tell me, are you focusing on communities or market, exchange or product?
Did you guys get the question?
Oh, sorry, I
Sorry.
didn't get it. Okay.
No, I
Ask it again.
didn't.
My question is, what is your main focus at the moment? Can you tell me, are you focusing on communities or market, exchange or product?
I'm sorry. If you could address your question like in the comments for this Twitter space, I'm sure all of us would get back to you with a reply. But yeah, we couldn't really hear you well. All right, let's do I think we have 3 requests. Let's do like 2 or 3 more questions from the live audience, and then I guess we'll start wrapping this up. How does that sound?
Yeah, sounds good.
Perfect. All right, let's do King. I've seen his request for a while now. Hi, King. How are you doing? You can go ahead.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, we can hear you.
How important are marketing and pass?
I believe I could rephrase this question to you guys. Like, how important is marketing to your business goals? I believe we have already touched the base on this, like the the awareness that we have to spread among the people. But yeah, I believe the question was how important is marketing.
Well, actually, we as a non-profit organization, we don't really do any sort of paid marketing. So a lot of our marketing is kind of working on social media with our partners and also with our community to kind of spread that awareness. Um, so yeah, we don't really do much of paid marketing and sponsored posts or advertisement in that sense. It's really an organic way of spreading awareness and working together with our community and with our partners to grow that awareness and to educate people and to inform people about nano. So that's from our side.
I can also add our view. Also, our main target is also to work together with the main cryptocurrency communities and be there active, and also doing some small marketing activations with famous crypto magazines. But that's all we do. Most we spend is on organic traffic.
I'm gonna pop in here as well because I mean marketing is what I mostly do for now payments. I would say that the most important thing for us is to build awareness and is to educate businesses on why is it better to accept crypto payments. Yeah, I mean that's I mean we do build our traffic organically, but I would say that the main goal is to educate and build awareness. Yeah, because I mean a lot of people like and not just people like businesses as well. They don't get the idea, or they don't even know that they have this option. Basically, like they can accept crypto and not pay like enormous fees for their like banking fees, etc. And for instance, with Nano, I would say that most businesses they have no idea that the transactions are free and as fast as they can be with a Visa and Mastercard. Yeah, so that's what goes for us. All right, let's do one more, and then we can probably wrap this up. I see that Nano is green money has been waiting for quite some time. Do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question for Now Payments. A friend of mine has used Now Payments and paid with Nano, and they found the confirmation time to be unacceptably slow. It was, like probably a couple of minutes. What are you doing to bring that down to closer to being like a couple of seconds?
Well, as Forrest mentioned, I believe that the transactions confirmation should be less than a second. From what you mentioned, I don't know the details. I mean, that is probably more of a question for our technical team, whatever. But I would assume that it involved some kind of a exchange from Nano to other currency, and if you're talking about an exchange to other currency, I think that 2 minutes is a decent time to exchange it. That's my only assumption. As I said, I only making assumptions here because I don't know the details, but I would think that's what happened there. Thank you for your question, though. All right, Marius, Forrest, you have any words you'd like to add to this? Like to wrap this up?
It was a pleasure to be here in the talk, and if there are more questions, feel free to DM us or write us a message.
Yeah, and I also really enjoyed being here. I thought it was a really nice conversation, and thank you for having me, and also, for all the conversations and the questions from the audience. Some really good questions in there, and I always love talking about nano and cryptocurrency. So these kind of Twitter spaces are always great. So yeah, thank you very much, and I really enjoyed it.
All right, thank you guys for joining us on this for this Twitter space. I mean, yeah, it was great to see like this collaboration, like of all three sides involved in in the mass adoption of crypto payments, like the payment method, the business that actually accepts it, and thus being a provider that connects people to use it. Also, thank you, Miss Teen Crypto, for joining our Twitter space again. It's always great to have your input as a person who actually uses cryptocurrency and like promotes it among your audience. Thank you as well.
Thank you, Now Payments. I appreciate you guys, and it was great to catch up with Nano. I know we haven't spoken since like 2021, and Coinsbee is great to see you too, and it's always great to hang out with the Now fam. Love what you guys have been doing.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate it. All right, guys, let's wrap this up. Any like pending questions that you guys were not able to ask live, you can drop them in either GMs or in the comments to this thread, and we'll make sure to answer them. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna finish this hour. Thank you so much for joining, and see you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.